All right, everybody. So we are live. Um, I have a disappointment for you tonight. Unfortunately, Tracie could not join us, uh, but it was my fault. So just to be clear, my fault. Uh, you know, MSPs, we love automation, right? Problem is sometimes we trust it a little too much. So come to find out that my Calendly did not send her the calendar invite that it should have. And so that combined with the fact that I did not promote this until this morning makes it 150% my fault. And so my apologies to Tracie for that. And unfortunately, she was already busy tonight with something else. So you got me tonight. I'm going to check the streams, make sure that we're up and running on everything. So far, so good. Everything's looking good in terms of the live streams. So go ahead and let me know that you guys are here, that you're watching. And by the way, if any of my regulars are here, drop me a text, drop me a DM, and maybe you can come on tonight's show. Because, we love winging it here at All Things MSP because that's what we do. So I'm sure we'll find something to talk about. Last week was great. We had a great time. So, if you're listening, which let's see, nobody so far, but that's because it's early. Let me just kind of put some comments out here. See how everybody's doing. Okay. And last but not least, cool. All right. And those are popping up. So I know comments are working. Let me go ahead and check this one. One more comment to Facebook. That one's working. So, okay, so everything seems to be working. Like I said, unfortunately, Tracie is unable to join us tonight. Again, 150% my fault. I trusted the automation. The automation failed me. This is where we get trust but verify from, folks. And especially as MSPs, we should know that if we rely too much on automation, that and we don't check that automation is working correctly, it can come around to bite us. So, that's my wisdom for this evening. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hang out. We'll do another Ask Me Anything tonight. Maybe let me pull up another browser window over here. Let me slide that over to screen number 3. And we'll go ahead and pull up Reddit because that's always fun. And we will just go ahead and see what we can, see on Reddit this evening. Oh, yeah, there's a good one. I read this one earlier. So, yeah, we'll definitely cover that one. 2, 1, let's go do this thing. Welcome back, everybody, to All Things MSP, the live stream edition. If you didn't catch it in the pre-show, preamble, whatever you want to call it, unfortunately, the guest that I had lined up for tonight, my automation did not work, and so she did not get the invites. And 150% my fault. When you're doing automation, you should trust but verify. Very important thing. In fact, by the way, one of those reasons why I think that Pia, if you haven't checked that out yet, is a really interesting new product in our space, because it not only does the automation that we've talked about for years in terms of automating some of those help desk tickets and things, but it gives you a level of control, a level of supervision over that automation that I don't think we've had before, and I think makes a big difference. So, hashtag not sponsored, but, Pia, hit me up because, I talk about you a lot. I really do, because it's interesting. All right. So again, Tracie couldn't be here tonight. Unfortunately, she did not get the calendar invite. She did not get the reminders. And, shame on me for not checking up on that and checking up on my hosts. I really should be doing that. Again, when something in your process fails, go back and fix the process so it doesn't happen again. Do have a couple of viewers on here. So if you're one of my regulars and you're interested in being a guest on tonight's show, hit me up, text me, DM me, whatever. Let me know in the comments that you want to come on the show tonight. And hey, we can probably make that happen. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and play a little Reddit roulette, shall we? Because, this stuff it's always fun. So this was a post that I think was just today. Yeah, 7 hours ago. And this is talking about an MSP who a customer left them, looks like 5 years ago because of and I love the quotes, the air quotes, a better deal. And then slowly over time, this is one of the things that I find interesting about this, is that slowly over time, they moved what was on their fixed costs to what was no longer in scope. So it actually ended up being more expensive, which is very interesting to me. How many people do that? Like, is that a thing? And by the way, I need to fix there we go. I wasn't perfectly in frame, and that's production quality is a thing for me. I want to make sure that we do this good for you guys. Anyway, I want to know, does anybody else see that happening? I don't want to say anybody else on this show is doing it, but does anybody see this happening where they have, I guess, what's the reverse of scope creep, where we gradually allow more and more things to be covered under scope when they really shouldn't be? But do you see other MSPs out there decreasing their scope so that more and more of what they're doing falls outside of the scope and therefore is billable? Interested in hearing your comments on that. Would love to know what you think about that. And then let's read some of these comments down here. Sounds like their salespeople are a lot better than your salespeople. Yeah, that's something that can happen, right? Because salespeople typically sell the dream. They don't sell the reality. And sometimes you can get over-eager salespeople that sell more than you can deliver. So that's definitely a thing. I think there was one in here. Where is it? I saw it earlier. This is why salespeople are just the worst. No, it's not all salespeople, just some of them. I say that from experience. There was a specific comment that I'm trying to find because I thought it was especially relevant. Some of these comments got rather long today. I haven't actually checked this since early this morning, or when it first came out, and I think it came across my email, and that's why I checked it out. Lots of people saying that similar things have happened to them. There were comments in here that pointed towards this being more of a problem with larger MSPs. So I'd love to hear people's comments on that. So if you're here watching the stream, please go ahead and comment, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn. Let me know. Oh yeah, and that was the other thing that I wanted to point out. So there's a server that evidently the original MSP put in 9 years ago that's still running. It still has 2 core services operating on that server and has failed disks. So there's no RAID protection on here. And to make it even worse, further down, the backup logs appear to have been totally failing since November. So we're November, December, January, February, March, April. We are 6 months in with no backups. That's pretty bad. All of the previous admin accounts are still active. Security risk. And they never replaced the inbound mail protection that the original MSP had provided, aka Proofpoint. So a lot of weird stuff going on there. I'm going to see if I can scroll. Really wish, because otherwise I'm going to have to paraphrase it. Which I guess I am, because I know it was very short, so I should be able to identify it quickly. And unfortunately, I'm just not. Oh, there it is. Okay. So if you took them back at the same rate, I'm going to stroke out. And I thought this was interesting, and I want to talk about this for a second, because it's absolutely true that if they didn't understand your value then, they certainly aren't going to understand it now. And I'm not sure that taking them back, especially at the same rate, is a good idea. Now, if they're your ideal customer profile, and if they are somebody that, you can make your scheduled profit margin off of, and they're probably going to be very thankful that you're taking them back, I think you still consider it. I think you make sure that you only take them back because they are the type of client that you want. All right. Let's see. Give me just a second here. By the way, if you're watching and you didn't hear, my guest unfortunately couldn't make it tonight. Really my fault, because the reminders and the calendar invites for whatever reason didn't go out. So I want to make sure everybody's very clear that it was my fault that we don't have a guest tonight. I need to fix the process. So the process starting this week will be fixed. Next week, I believe, is Carol and April from CompTIA. If you guys were one of the ones who commented on the post that I made while I was at CCF, where I was just talking about how there was a lot of great information being shared, and I put a slide that she happened to be presenting at that moment up on the as the graphic for the post, just to make the post a little more interesting. So many comments about that slide and profitability, and the profitability of certain elements or lines of business within the MSP. So I specifically reached out to CompTIA and said, hey, can we have Carolyn on to talk about some of this stuff? Because obviously it's something that people have a lot to say. So that will be next week. And you better believe that the first thing I'll be doing after tonight's live stream is sending an email out to Carolyn to make sure she got the invites. Because if Calendly is broken, I definitely need to fix it, number one. And number two, I just need to do a better job of following up with my guests. Period. End of story. My fault. You guys take it as a lesson to make sure that your processes are documented so that when it fails, you know where to go back and fix it, and that you do. Okay. So any other comments about this sloppy work? I'd love to hear from people who are watching the live stream. I know you're there because I can see the numbers. The numbers don't lie. So let me know that you guys are there. Maybe comments aren't working. Let me go actually check the actual streams over here. And nope. So nope. Looks like all of the comment streams are working. Just need to make sure that somebody comments. Okay. Let's go spin the Reddit wheel of mythicality again and see what we can find here. If you didn't realize, I guess there's an active exploitation warning on outdated paper-cut servers. I don't even remember what paper-cut is. Anybody else know what paper-cut is? Because it's just one of those I'm not aware of. And by the way, Keith, if you're lurking and not commenting, we're going to have a talk later, dude. Let's see. Somebody looking for an inexpensive RMM solution. Can we talk about that for a minute? I realize, there's a need to keep costs low. And it looks like they're not an MSP. They're probably just an internal IT trying to manage, looks like about 30 computers, but still. There's a reason why mechanics use Snap-on tools. There's a reason why a lot of us used to buy Craftsman tools rather than Kmart tools. The quality of your tools matter. And I guess that's all I'll probably say about that. So really just pick the tool that works for your use case. Don't pick it because it's the cheapest. Alternative to local OneDrive app for accessing SharePoint. I have a personal opinion on that, but I won't share it. Shared OTP app for small business. Let's see. Okay, so we get the normal rants around here. Approach to monthly charge. First of all, I want to thank all in advance for the information, advice, support that is offered on this thread. Now for my question. I have a client that oversees 3 organizations. One, I guess, is for profit, financial investment advisor, and the other 2 are nonprofit. I have to bill each one separately. However, he tends to view it all as the same. All right, let's take a look at this for a second. The 2 nonprofits do have, let me go back up. My question is, how should I go about billing for all of this, in your opinion? Did something just happen to the live stream? Nope. Okay. Interesting. Let me just check something here. Okay. No, evidently we're still good. Just wanted to make sure. My question is, how should I go about billing for all of this in your opinion? I have seen a per user cost from like $125 to even $250 per user. Then there is per endpoint cost. The 2 nonprofits do have endpoints, but they tend to be personal machines. The problem that I'm finding is that I am getting emails, texts, and calls on a regular basis that far exceeds my I think that says $85. Let me check over here. Yes, $85 per endpoint cost. Wow, $85 per endpoint cost. He also has separate M365 tenancy for each. How would all of you approach this? I know I'm not getting paid for my time on a regular basis, and it's getting to be a bit much. Thank you all in advance for your advice. So I think this is an interesting topic because pricing is one of the things that a lot of MSPs, I think because we're technicians and not business people first, struggle with. And so there's a couple of ways you can do this. Obviously, you can do the per user, you can do the per endpoint, you can do a fixed fee for the total environment based on, just what you decide that client is going to cost. I prefer the per user because I think that's the cost center. That's where most of the cost is generated because most of it has to do with labor. And most of it has to do with the labor that is expended in dealing with the help desk tickets that come in. The actual effort to support an endpoint at this point in time should be pretty steady. The only variable there, in my opinion, in terms of endpoint, is patch management, because patch management doesn't work. It never has, and I don't think it ever will. Because it's the combination of an RMM tool trying to communicate with third-party software that changes. And so they're not ever going to always be in sync. Now, sometimes they are. That's great. And patch management is great when it works. But as we all know, there is always some labor that has to go into patch management because it also frequently breaks. Now, I think after probably no more than a year, you can probably figure out what the average amount of time per endpoint is, and it probably gets fairly accurate over a year's worth of tickets of having to deal with broken patch management. So, my opinion, cost up approach. Obviously there's going to be an endpoint involved, whether it's something that you're managing, something that is their personal machine. And that's another reason why I like per user rather than per endpoint, because per user, you can go ahead and say, okay, by default, they're going to probably have a computer, whether it's a laptop or a desktop. They're going to have maybe a tablet, maybe a phone. Okay. So you price yourself for supporting those three devices. You cost for having an RMM and an MDM for those devices per user. Okay. Now, some of those users are not going to have a phone and an iPad. Okay. A little extra profit. Nothing wrong with that, because in the end, I think pricing that is convenient and easily understandable to the client will actually win more times than trying to get the cost down to the lowest possible thing so that you can get their price down to the lowest possible thing. In my experience, the clients who want the lowest price are probably not the clients you want. And so therefore, I'm just saying, if it were me, I would make sure that I could cover my costs of all of the equipment that a user might have. And then I would figure out what my pricing for the labor that I'm going to have to spend on that individual user is. Now, there's another thing that I want to talk about here, and it actually goes back to kind of the earlier conversation when we were talking about scope, because I think this is where you have to really, really succinctly define what scope looks like in your managed services agreement. Because if you don't, You're going to be stuck in the same situation as this person where it appears, and I don't know the details of this, so I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but it appears as though because he doesn't have a defined scope that they are calling them for every single thing that they can. And that's where you need to make the distinction between what's in scope and what's out of scope. So an example of what's out of scope. For me, out of scope is Excel, Word, PowerPoint, when it comes to how do I use those applications? How do I create angled text in an Excel spreadsheet? If they don't know, that's a training problem. Nothing's broken. There's nothing wrong with the IT. Now, do you support training as part of your managed services agreement? If so, then it's in scope. But I don't think the IT department is usually the people that you go to in a larger organization when you don't know how to use Excel. No, they send you to training if you can't figure out how to Google it yourself. It's just the way it works. So why would you include it in your managed services agreement when a normal company with an internal IT department wouldn't have their IT department solve a training issue with something like Excel? Just my personal opinion, but I think that a lot of people on here would agree with me. And again, put something in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I'm okay. I just want to talk about it. But that's the way I would approach this. Cost up on the expenses. Make sure that you've got some labor expense in there as well. But most importantly, make sure that you define what's in scope and what's out of scope. And here's kind of my litmus test. Okay. In scope are the things that you as the IT provider can control. Okay. So the reliability of the machine, the fact that it's being patched, those types of things. If it comes to something that you can't control, i.e. training, another example would be some type of breach event or security event, especially in the case where it was actually caused by the employee. Should that be under scope? It's not really your responsibility to make sure that they don't click on anything. Now, argument could be made for the other side, whereas if you did provide security training for the employees, maybe so. Or maybe that absolves you of the liability. You provided the training. You told them exactly what to do. You trained the people. You tested the people on what to do or what not to do. And they still did it anyway. So is cleaning up that mess in scope or out of scope? You decide. Okay, let's take a look at some of these comments and see what they have to say. All right. I don't know where you are or how big you are, but $85 an endpoint is low. I agree with that. Base my endpoint fee on stack plus 1 hour. 85 is my hourly cost per tech. It's pretty pricey techs, but okay. Hey, no problem with you paying techs well. If you can fit it in and it works in your profit margins and your business is going gangbusters, good for you. Yes, I realize it's low. I want to make sure I'm not giving my time away anymore. Right now, it's just me. This is a frequent problem, okay? I did it. I think everybody else who started off as a one-man band had this problem where they would just take any kind of work and they would discount it to get the work. There's a point where that comes to bite you in the, and it's just not worth it. So always make sure that, and by the way, kudos to the original poster for posting this because he's actually thinking the right way about this to fix the problem. So kudos to them for that. Okay. And I think this is one, and thank you, Joe Cyber, for putting this in. Keep in mind that nonprofit and dead broke are two entirely different scenarios. That is absolutely true. There are lots of nonprofits out there who make a lot of money, and they need to spend it too, by the way. So, just realize that those two things are not connected. Cheap, poor, nonprofit, those things don't go together. Dead broke and nonprofit do not go together. All right. Oh, and that's all the comments. So I'm glad I talked about it for a while so that we got something out of that. By the way, if anybody's here, I know there's some lurkers. Go ahead, comment. Let me know you're here. Be a guest on the show. Let me know you want to be a guest. I'll bring you on right now. It should be an enticement for other people to watch this show when it's live. By the way, I'm probably going to end this not extremely early tonight, but early enough that you have plenty of time to go over to Marvin B's live stream at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So giving a shout out to my friend Marvin and his show. Great show. Definitely worth checking out. All right, let's see. Let's spin that wheel of Reddit again. I should be playing some music for this, shouldn't I? Let's see if we can. There we go. While we spin the wheel of Redicality. Is that a thing? I don't think so. Let's see. Integrating ConnectWise in Monday. Interesting. What are you using for a billing system? Oh, by the way, can I rant here for a second? In fact, let me turn off the music because that gets a little bit annoying, a little too much, and switch back to the regular view. I did not tell you to play that music again. There you go. Can I just say, QuickBooks Online? Really? Why can't QuickBooks Online look and work like QuickBooks does? Why does everything have to be this? I don't know. If you're watching, if you're live and you have an opinion about QuickBooks Online, throw that in there. Maybe we'll talk about it. But I just recently signed up for QuickBooks Online because I need to track some stuff for this now. And yeah, not a fan so far. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just haven't dealt with QuickBooks in a long time. And so it's just weird because I haven't touched it in 10 years. But not very intuitive into it, by the way. So anyway, I think they're, you know what? Maybe it's just a way for them to sell their in-person accounting people. I don't know. Conspiracy theory much? I don't know. Okay. Let's go back to Reddit and see what we can find. And then maybe I'll just shut this down early. Would you guys leave a $65,000 a year hybrid MSP job for a $90,000 a year on-site job? For $25,000 a year and what appears to be almost a 30% jump in pay? Probably, because I don't think you're going to lose that in taxes. So, again, opinions in the comments. Oh, and by the way, they're just 24 years old. 24 years old making 90K? Yeah, selling MSP into healthcare. I don't know. Do I dare? Nah. Incidence response playbook. This this could be interesting. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one. So hello, fellow MS peers. What do you consider when putting together an incident response plan / playbook? It's a bit tricky, I would think, since we all have multiple customers of different sizes, industries, budgets, etc. Any feedback would be helpful in my research and future blog post. Nice. So it looks like somebody's, obviously this is something that looks like it's going to help the community. Now, do I think that customer size matters? Probably not as much as you would think it does. I'm not the security expert though. So let's just put that with a grain of salt. Industries, yes. I think industries matter because there's different compliances and there's going to be different regulations that you have to deal with. So I think there are going to be some differences there. What I would say is your incident response playbook should be written probably for each individual customer. I think there's a template. There's a template that's going to fit 90% of everything, but there's going to be that other 10% that is specific to that business because of line of business apps, because of the industry they're in, because of compliances that they have to, be in line with. All of those things are going to matter when it comes to a response plan. Budgets, I don't really see that. I mean, incident response doesn't have a budget plan. It is what it is, and that's kind of the plan is to get the customer safe, secure. Make sure that you can get all the reporting, make sure that, you satisfy the requirements of the insurance companies, of the law enforcement agencies, and then your priority is getting your customer back up and running. So there's a lot to that. And again, I'm not an expert on an incident response plan. Maybe if Matt Lee is one of those people watching right now, but he's probably not because he was a busy guy today. So, maybe he could come on and provide some color to this, but let's check out the comments. IT by Design had an awesome IR playbook they were offering out for a while. Pretty sure they are represented on the sub. Probably they're in a lot of places around here. We depend on the client's cyber liability insurance provider to share their IRP for us to follow. So this is important point. And I mentioned insurance companies before because they have a primary role in this, right? Because they're the ones that you are going to be, or your client is going to be asking for money. Okay. In the case of an incident. And if you don't follow the liability insurance provider's rule book, guess what? Your client might not get paid. And if it was you who didn't follow the rules, they're probably going to come after you for that money because they didn't get it from the insurance company. So something to think about. Definitely want to follow law enforcement's directions and the insurance company's directions to make sure that things work out the best for your clients. Again, another comment about, making sure you're following the IR standards of the insurance company. IR guides will be less specific than other playbooks. True. I think you take the IR guides, the playbooks, whatever, from the insurance company and then add to them for the specific client to do what you can in terms of getting them back up and running, right? First priority, make sure that, everything's secure. Second priority, making sure that you're keeping whatever forensic data safe so that it can be gone through, and making sure that the rules of the insurance company are being followed. And then separately from all of that, because chances are you're going to have to get new hardware, new everything, to get them back up and running while the other stuff is gone through by the insurance company, their security people, law enforcement, whatever. And again, my disclaimer, I'm not a security guy. Okay. Yep, CIS, probably a good resource. I think Defendify has documentation that covers this. They have a cybersecurity assessment that will help you get started as well. There's a ton of information out there on this, by the way. So lots of places to go look for this kind of stuff. But definitely make sure you have all your bases covered. And yeah, a lot of vendors are going to have different playbooks that might work for you. All right. Okay. It's 7:35. I am going to let you guys go early unless one of my brave viewers wants to, hop on and join me for a chat. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, go grab a bite to eat, and then I'm going to hang out with Marvin B on his live stream tonight. I mean, I'm not a guest. I'm just going to hang out, watch, probably comment, make some jokes in the comments. So join me. Watch Marvin's podcast. It's actually a podcast that he does, and he live streams it on Wednesday nights as well, right after this show at 8 o'clock. So please, you can find him. I think he's on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, just like we are. But for sure, go find him. Go watch him. He's been doing this for a while. I've known him for, it's probably been close to 10 years now. And I think he and I are talking maybe this week about doing some kind of joint show. I don't know. We're, it's the community. We're doing stuff together. We love it. By the way, if you aren't subscribed to YouTube, go ahead and make sure that you do subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're already watching us there, click the like, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when we post new videos, because that helps. If you weren't aware, we're also on LinkedIn. We have a LinkedIn page, a company page, so all things MSP over there. And then last but not least, where we started, where this whole community started from, it's on Facebook. So we have a Facebook group, All Things MSP. It's a page and a Facebook group, but the Facebook group has, we're closing in on 4,500 members now, which is great. In my wildest dreams, I didn't, think that this community would grow to that size and continue to grow at the rate it is, which is absolutely phenomenal. So join the group, ask questions, answer questions for people. It's a community. It's what we do. Anyway, that's it for me tonight. I will have Tracie on here as soon as I can get her rescheduled. Join me next week for Carol and April. And yes, I will make sure that I follow up to make sure that she got all of her invites and that I'm doing the right things as a host for my guests, because I feel like I let Tracie down and I let you down. I'm going to try and make sure that doesn't happen again. See you later. Have a great evening.